New CPUs and GPUs were just announced for 2025 gaming laptops. Let's start out with the biggest news: NVIDIA's new RTX 50 series laptop GPUs. Then afterwards, we'll dive into the new CPUs from AMD and Intel. The new RTX 5090 laptop GPU has up to 24 gigs of VRAM, a 50% increase from the 16 gigs found in the last gen 4090, as well as 8% more CUDA cores. The new RTX 5080 has 16 gigs of VRAM, a 33% increase compared to the last gen 4080, but only a 3% increase to CUDA core count. The RTX 5070 Ti is a new tier this generation, as we didn't get an RTX 4070 Ti last generation. This has 12 gigs of VRAM, which matches what last year's 4080 had. So VRAM capacity has been increased at the higher end this generation, which is great, as more powerful GPUs that can run higher resolutions and higher settings are more likely to need more memory. The 5070 Ti has less CUDA cores compared to the 4080, but 28% more compared to the 4070. But the more VRAM trend ends when we get to the RTX 5070, as we're still limited to just 8 gigs, just like the RTX 4070 from last gen. I mean, I recently showed that 8 gigs of VRAM still seems to be enough for the RTX 3080 and 4070 for the most part, but I also argued that that may not be the case with more powerful GPUs, like the 5070, so I was hoping to see more VRAM for the RTX 5070. I'm glad that we've got the RTX 5070 Ti. We've had RTX 40 series GPUs for 2 years now, and during that time, there's been a big performance and price gap between the 4070 and 4080, with no 4070 Ti refresh. So I'm hopeful that this won't be the case this generation, as the 5070 Ti is already there right from launch. So generally speaking, the new RTX 50 series offers more VRAM capacity, at least at the higher end. Not to mention, all RTX 50 series GPUs are using faster GDDR7 memory now. As for GPU power limits, NVIDIA are listing up to 150 watts for the 5090 and 5080, but as usual, I don't think this includes dynamic boost, which I've heard from some of the laptop brands is 25 watts for a total of 175 watts, same as last gen. Likewise, this puts the 5070 Ti at 140 watts, and the 5070 might be 125 watts. 15 watts lower than the last gen 4070. But at the same time, if we're being realistic, 4070 never actually ran above 100 watts in most games anyway. I'll be comparing all of these new RTX 50 series GPUs against each other and against last gen 40 series as soon as possible. So make sure that you're subscribed. NVIDIA didn't show off too much when it came to performance, but they said some things like an RTX 5070 laptop has RTX 4090 laptop performance. Now, they didn't elaborate on this, but I'm assuming they're factoring in the new DLSS 4. So it's kind of an apples to oranges comparison. DLSS 4 introduces multi-frame generation, but only for the new RTX 50 series, and it generates up to 3 additional frames per one traditionally rendered frame. They say this new frame generation AI model is 40% faster and uses 50% less VRAM, thanks to the new 5th gen tensor cores, which have 2.5 times more AI processing performance. But I'm sure Tim from Hardware Unboxed will go into way more details when it comes to DLSS 4, so check them out for details. And NVIDIA says it'll be ready to go in 75 games on day 1. So then, when is day 1? For availability, NVIDIA said we're looking at March for laptops with RTX 5090, 5080, and 5070 Ti, while the 5070 will come later in April. They didn't have anything to say about the lower tier RTX 5060 or RTX 5050 laptop GPUs, but I've heard plenty of rumblings at CES that we can probably expect these around May to June, and based on the fact that the 5070 has 8 gigs of VRAM, we can probably safely assume that the RTX 5060 will have 8 gigs too, just like the 4060. As for pricing, gaming laptops with the RTX 5070 start from $1,299 US. The RTX 5070 Ti will go from $1,599, the RTX 5080 will be from $2,199, while the RTX RTX 5090 begins at a whopping $2,899. Ouch. That hurts so much, I'm about to time travel from nighttime to daytime. Alright, that's enough NVIDIA. Let's see what AMD's got. 3D V-Cache is coming back to gaming laptops this generation with AMD's Fire Range series. The new Ryzen 9 9955H X3D is quite similar to the oldest 7945H X3D chip that came out almost 18 months ago. It's still got 16 cores and 32 threads, same 5.4 GHz boost clock, and 144 MB of cache, but it's using AMD's newer Zen 5 architecture rather than Zen 4. So basically, the new one performs better and is more efficient. There's also the 9955HX, which is basically the same thing, but without the extra cache, and the 9850HX, which has fewer cores. These are coming out in the first half of 2025, so somewhere between now and the end of June. Quite a big window. Hopefully we're not waiting too long. But wait, there's more. We first saw Zen 5 processors like the Ryzen AI9 HX370 in a few gaming laptops like the Asus Zephyrus G16. That's actually available with SODIMM memory from now, instead of soldered memory only, which is all that was available last year. But now, AMD are announcing even higher end versions as the Ryzen AI Max series, aka Strix Halo. These offer more cores, threads, cache, higher power levels, and perhaps most importantly of all, crazy integrated graphics, with up to 40 graphics cores, which can be assigned up to 96 gigs of memory. Just for comparison, the integrated graphics in the Ryzen AI9 HX370 had 16 of these RDNA 3.5 graphics cores. So this is a huge improvement for integrated graphics performance. AMD provided some comparisons against Intel's best Lunar Lake processor, which despite only being available in thin and light laptops, is actually their best integrated graphics offering, or at least it was prior to their new CES announcements. Unfortunately, there's no game tests, just some 3D rendering benchmarks and synthetic 3D mark tests. Based on my own testing with a lower tier Core Ultra 7 258V, which has the same ARC graphics as the 288V AMD tested with here, just clocked slightly lower, I scored around 4,150 in Time Spy. To get a 245% higher graphics score, that would be a score of about 14,500, which would put AMD's integrated graphics ahead of the best RTX 4070 result I've ever recorded. And that lines up with what someone from one of the major brands told me. They said AMD's new integrated graphics would fall somewhere between the RTX 4060 and 4070, which is kinda crazy if true from integrated graphics. I can't wait to test this one out for myself. Make sure you're subscribed to see how it performs. Even compared to Apple's M4 Pro, AMD's top-end Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chip is looking competitive. But let's not forget, Apple also has the M4 Max, which AMD have conveniently not included here. Considering how overkill this is for integrated graphics, I was thinking that we might not actually see this chip that often in gaming laptops with discrete graphics. What's the point of a crazy iGPU if you've got a DGPU? But at the same time, it would also mean that you could get a solid mid-range gaming laptop experience from just integrated graphics alone. And these Max chips offer a juicy amount of cache and cores, which would do great in a gaming laptop. We've also got more Zen 5 processors coming to the Ryzen AI series. Again, we've already had options like the Ryzen AI9 HX370 and 365 for 6 months now, but now we're getting the lower spec Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5 versions. These don't have as much cache or GPU power compared to the 6 and 8 core options from the higher Max series, and based on these specs, these are what will replace AMD's popular HS or H series processors in gaming laptops. Unfortunately, everyone is rebranding everything with AI slapped on top of it, hence the new names. Anyway, we've got the Ryzen AI 7 350, which is an 8-core part, which you can think of like a newer Zen 5 version of the Zen 4-based 8845HS, or the Ryzen AI 7 340, a 6-core part that would replace the 8645HS. Still the same amount of cores, threads, and cache, with actually slightly lower maximum boost clocks. But again, these are Zen 5 now, which just performs better. And we're looking at the first quarter of the year for availability. We're we're also going to have a lower tier Ryzen 200 series too, so no AI in the name. But I assume that's because this is just a rebrand of existing Zen 4 processors. Based on the specs, this new Ryzen 9 270 matches up exactly with the Ryzen 9 8945HS, which was already basically a rename of the Ryzen 9 7940HS. Don't worry, I understand if you're confused. I can barely keep track of it all myself, and I've been reading about this stuff for days now. Basically, we've had the same Zen 4 chips spread out over 3 years now, just with different names, and I'm guessing we'll see these in cheaper options. Don't get me wrong, Zen 4 still performs great, and this will be a nice way to save some money if you don't need the full performance of Zen 5. It's just hard when we've got essentially the exact same processor with 3 different names. AMD also previewed RDNA 4 graphics cards for the desktop, with their RX 9070 and 9070 XT coming in Q1, but there was no mention of RDNA 4 coming to mobile parts yet. Likewise, they also teased FSR4, which apparently offers both performance and image quality improvements. So it'll be interesting to see if that helps AMD catch up to NVIDIA's superior DLSS technology once we start seeing it implemented in games. AMD also announced their new Z2 series processors for handheld devices like the ROG Ally, Legion Go, and Steam Deck. These chips are not using RDNA 4, but the performance gains and efficiency improvements of Zen 5 should offer a worthy improvement. Plus, we're getting more graphics cores now. Alright, Intel are up next, and for gaming laptops, they've announced their new Arrow Lake H and HX series processors. Let's start with HX, Intel's highest end processors for gaming laptops. According to this slide, we're looking at a greater than 20% boost to multi-thread performance compared to their 14th gen Raptor Lake H processors, and a greater than 5% boost to single-threaded performance. But it's worth noting that this seems to compare to last gen H series and not HX, which made me think maybe the difference between old and new HX isn't much. But then in their press release, they claim the new 285HX is 41% faster in Cinebench 2024 multi-core compared to the Core i9 14900HX, which is kinda massive if it's actually true. Could just be a mistake though. Intel's focus in their press release was more around efficiency and battery life improvements rather than raw performance, considering channels like Hardware Unboxed have shown that although Intel's desktop 285K does offer some nice power efficiency improvements, at the end of the day, it gets beaten by their last gen 14900K in gaming. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see something similar with laptops. But we won't really know how battery life compares until I get some in to test. Make sure you're subscribed for that. These Core Ultra 200HX processors are basically the laptop versions of Intel's desktop chips that they launched in October last year. So the Core Ultra 9 285HX at the top of the stack has the same amount of cores, threads, and cache as their 285K desktop processor, though the maximum boost clock is almost 200 MHz lower. It's worth noting that just like the desktop versions already out, these laptop versions no longer have hyperthreading, and that's why they max out at 24 cores now, compared to 32 cores with the last gen Core i9 14900HX. I don't think that we're actually going to see the 285HX in many gaming laptops, at least at launch. Most of the companies I've heard from so far are using the 275HX instead, which makes sense because it's basically the same thing, just 100 MHz lower and likely cheaper. These HX chips support DDR5 6400 memory, up to 192 gigs of total capacity, and Thunderbolt 4 and 5. And these chips also have dedicated NPU hardware for AI acceleration now too. Next up, Intel's H series comes underneath HX, and is more of a mid-range option that we'll likely see in mid-range gaming laptops. Intel says we should expect a 14% boost to both single and multi-thread performance compared to Media Lake. Again, bit weird that they didn't do a direct comparison to last gen H series. I'm guessing because the difference might not be that big. And like Media Lake and Lunar Lake, these new Arrow Lake 200H chips also include low power efficiency cores too. Basically, the idea is these run lower power tasks to help reduce power and improve battery life. The Core Ultra 9 285H at the top of the stack would replace the Core i9 13900H, while the Core Ultra 7 255H would replace the Core i7 13700H. Just to give you a rough idea of what these should be comparable to. Except now again, we've got NPUs and better ARC integrated graphics. Like HX, these also support up to DDR5 6400 memory and Thunderbolt 5. We've also got PCIe Gen 5 support with both H and HX series, and I've already seen support for PCIe 5 SSDs in quite a few new gaming laptops this year, but more on that in future videos. As for availability, Intel says we're looking at February for the first H series laptops, and sometime later in the first quarter of the year for higher-end HX systems. Something I don't like is that the new Intel CPUs that don't have Ultra in the name are actually last gen. Take the Intel Core 9 270H for example. It sounds new, but it's using last gen Raptor Lake. Again, I've got no problems using last gen architectures in gaming laptops if they still perform well and it means a lower price. But at the same time, if you're not in the know and you're just looking at two spec sheets and both say Intel Core 200, one says Ultra and one doesn't, I don't know, are most people really going to know that the one with Ultra is a completely new generation? It's just a bit confusing. Despite Intel's recent success with the Arc B580 graphics card, Intel didn't provide any news when it comes to new discrete graphics for gaming laptops. And given NVIDIA's lower-end GPUs aren't coming out for months, this could have been a good chance for them to compete. We're going to see plenty of new gaming laptops featuring these new CPUs and GPUs this year. I'll have plenty more videos coming soon covering them, and I'll do my best to review and compare them as soon as possible. So again, make sure you're subscribed for all that upcoming content.